Tarika? Tarika? Is it Tarika? Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute. Can you unmute yourself? Oops. There
Yes,
you go. Okay. Okay. If you would introduce yourself and say a few words.
my name is Tarika Gordon, and I worship at Holy Family Episcopal Church, and I'm the senior warden.
Thank you so much.
You're
And
welcome.
Linda?
I'm Linda McEwen from St. David's in Wellington, and I'm on the vestry and many committees.
Welcome, Linda. We're glad you're here. And now Horace. Oops. Okay, well, I guess we'll begin. We'll begin on the 18-month calendar. And Jody, if you can start sharing the screen, that would be great. Okay, and so we've welcomed one another to this space. And now we're going to, we always begin, if you haven't been with us with Congregational Vitality, we always begin with a very short Bible study, which is based on something called the FAMA Bible study. And you'll look on the, at the bottom of the page or the middle of the page. FAMA stands for Facts, Association, Meaning, and Action. And we are always recommending to people, you know, vestries, committees, different things that it's worthwhile to begin your church meetings with a Bible study. And the beauty of the family Bible study is that it can be compressed into a very short amount of time, as well as expanded to fill really an entire hour of a Bible study or a half hour. And so, like I said, the FAMA Bible study is facts, association, meaning, and action. And so let's, Jody, since I see people are joining right now, if you wouldn't mind just reading that passage from Jeremiah. Or there you go. Thank you.
For surely I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord, plans for your welfare and not for harm, to give you a future with hope.
Thank you. And so what we're going to do in the context of congregational vitality in our own congregations, if someone would like to kind of jumpstart our conversation, this is going to be a very abbreviated, this is just a sample of the beauty of the family Bible study. If someone would like to jump in and begin the reflection and discussion about what you saw or heard, or the action of this Bible study, this Jeremiah 29, verse 11. Anyone? Okay, well, I know that this is can be new to people. And so we know that Jeremiah was a prophet. And, you know, each time we do one of these Bible studies, we try to do one that kind of uplifts whatever it is the topic it is that we are talking about. And since today we're talking about planning and the 18-month calendar, this seemed to be a good choice. But if you're going to schedule something for your group, then you know you can do something that supports whatever your mission and ministry it is. So this Bible study, I have to say, even though we have a small attendance in this 18-month calendar, this is personal to me. This planning and future. And so what I see in this reading from the prophet Isaiah is that everything that we plan is within the context of our faith, and that we've been given tools and community to help to make those plans. And this Bible study, in my reflection, fills me with a lot of joy and hope. And so we're going to just move on now down to association, which I sort of jumped in on that, but association, connect the experience to your own feelings and lives. What does this Bible study, if you had to give a kind of a really abbreviated, answer, what does this mean to you? For surely I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord, plans for your welfare and not for your harm, to give you a future with hope. Don't make me do this by myself, people. Anybody can.
I think if you're reading it, you're seeing that the Lord has plans for us, right? And he's it's definitely all for hope and not for harm. So if we kind of follow in the footsteps, then as we make our plans, we're doing it for the welfare of our lives and for hope in the future.
Thank you, Jody. Okay, and so now let's move on quickly to meaning. Identify and discuss the deeper meaning of this experience and its importance. What does this Bible study mean to you for your parish at this moment in time? Why are you here?
This is Horace. Good morning. Good morning. Very important. Thank you very much, Deborah and Jody, for this presentation. As it relates very quickly for your question, one that this experience this morning is relational, that it affords in a kind, thoughtful, intentional way to make meaning or allow us to find deeper meaning in our common life, and that then therefore, which is I think Jeremiah's, the future is ours and it is blessed, but that future is also now, and the now engages us in relationship one with the other. That's what it means and why I'm here.
Thanks, Horace. Thank you. Thank you. And now let's see what action with this Bible study invite us into. What do you feel like anybody have any ideas? Okay. Okay. Horace, can you get a little bit closer to your microphone?
Is that any better?
Like 10 times better, like 10,000 times better.
Okay, good. Thank you much. Of the many considerations, it could boil down to this. Simply put, that there be at Holy Family a master calendar that would be created by the community, starting with its leadership, who would engage in the relationship building that I just spoke of, and so that the master calendar would reflect our common life over the next 12 to 18 months. One Lord, one faith, one baptism in Christ Jesus, our equipping and empowering Lord.
Thank you, Horace. Can I just add to that? And one calendar. So just before we get into the 18-month calendar, if you can scroll down a little bit more, Jody, so people can see, we have some references and some resources that are available to you all. And we're happy to work with everybody and to help the church to move on from strength to strength. And so let's just kind of dip into the 18-month calendar. And I will have to say that this information is really not so much my own. It is 18-month calendar can be a common management tool. And I learned the 18-month calendar actually in the parish hall of Holy Family when St. Columba was one of the parishes that was joined together in the Nehemiah process, taught really by Brian Hobbs and Linda Schlepp-Gray with this great group around them. And coming from a theater program, theater background like I did, I was very used to doing planning, because in theater, they have something called the production calendar. And if you are a director or a producer, then you are very, I don't know how it is nowadays, but you are very used to walking into the producer office. And I worked in regional theater primarily. And so the play season would be set out for a year or two in advance. And all of the kind of necessities of putting on a production would be listed on something called a production board. So when I started learning about the 18-month calendar through the Nehemiah process, I felt very comfortable with it, and brought the process back down to St. Columba. It took me like a year to do that. So we started in the Nehemiah process in 2007. And I think we went through just a whole maybe year or two just trying to find our feet as a parish, as it was, really in a free fall. Find our feet and began the 18-month process calendar with a big parish meeting with everyone kind of chiming in about their important dates. And like Horace said, to try to bring together all of the bits and pieces that make up the facilitation and running of a parish, bringing them together into one calendar. And I would offer this idea that a 18-month calendar is foundational to the life of a church. That without some kind of long-term planning, 12 to 18 months out, and then of course a 5-year plan, but 12 to 18 months out, the church is really skipping from crisis to crisis, or from just like, what are we going to do next-ism. And that's no way to run a church, because there's no long-term planning. You find yourself responding to the next to the next thing that comes along. And also the church misses out on opportunities to really serve not only the people within their parish, but outside of the parish, in the community of the parish, and to make plans. And so just taking from the prophet, we are being invited into a future with hope. I mean, a gift. It's not something that we have to pay for. It's not something that, we have to like fight for. It's an invitation. It's a tremendous gift. And really what it takes is people coming together in community to make plans. And the logistics or the planning of an 18-month calendar are, they take time. They take time. But once you have one, then in many respects, the path is clear. And then with the path being, I'm just saying some overview things without giving details right now. So once you have a 12 to 18-month calendar and I'm recommending the 18-month calendar, but I realize in the beginning that can be a little daunting. But that once you have the 12 to 18-month calendar, then you know the high points of the anchoring point of your year. And so, and then you're free to respond in the moment to the other things without feeling like you're a hamster in a wheel on a cage. Because without planning, that's how you feel. You're always like, okay, and now we need to do this, and now we need to do that, and did we do this? And oh, we forgot that. So if you are going to start an 18-month calendar, what I would recommend is first buy a calendar or get one off the internet. Make a physical. I know that nowadays everyone loves electronics, but the next step is going to be a group step. And so purchase a calendar, an 18-month calendar. Or if you're a list maker, then, make a list of all of the months for the next 18 months. And so that would be my first suggestion. It seems like an obvious suggestion, but I would say the electronic calendar is for one thing, but the physical calendar is for another. And then after that, gather together all of your leadership people. It can be an in-person gathering, because it's good when we all get together. It can be an in-person gathering, and you ask all of those people, bring your calendars from your teams and let us know the important dates for your teams. And we're going to put that on this 18-month calendar for our parish. Now then, after that, or even before that, you can put on the important holy days for your church. Like you would put on, for example, the season of Advent. You would put on Christmas. You would put on the Feast of the Epiphany, Ash Wednesday, Shrove Tuesday, Holy Week, Palm Sunday, Easter Sunday, the feast day for your church, for example, those kinds of things. So you fill in the beginning, it's really a series of filling in the blanks for the things that you already know. Things that you already, you already know. But put them on the calendar. Don't leave that by chance. And then after that, look on the outside world. So for example, find out the school calendar for your area. And if you're in an area where you have a lot of people, like I think mostly everyone here is from Miami Gardens, and then we have St. David's and up in West Palm. And so so those are more, down here in the Keys, we only have one school, right? So if you don't go to that school, you're being homeschooled. But in an area that is more suburban or urban, you might have a lot of schools in your area. But find out what are the holidays, what are the teacher work days, for example, if you want to really get granular with it. But find out what are the holidays. What's the spring vacation? What's the Christmas vacation? What's the Thanksgiving vacation? When does summer begin and when does school start? And put those things on your calendar. Okay? And then, so now that's all easy. That's all the easy stuff. You've purchased your calendar. You've then gone through and you said, okay, oh, when is Christmas? Oh, it's on the 25th. When is Christmas Eve? Oh, it's on the 24th. If you're like us, sometimes we play around with, and I see we're not the only parish in this diocese. Sometimes we play around with the Feast of St. Francis, the blessing of the animals. That seems to be a floating time. And so, but you can decide, okay, this year, the blessing of the animals is going, if you do it, the blessing of the animals is going to be on this Sunday. And so then you tag those other sort of church religious days that are important to your church. Like I know at Holy Family, you have a relationship with music teachers in your area. And I saw that last year you had a concert and you had recitals, and you may want to say to the music teacher, you know, we're doing our planning. What days are you going to want to have the church for that planning? You're going to want to look around then and take a farther look around as to what's going on in your community. So I'm just trying to think. And I don't know like what kinds of activities you might have in Miami Gardens or in West Palm Beach. Like we have the seafood festival down here in the Keys. And in the beginning, years ago, we used to have a booth at the seafood festival. But you want to look for what are the big things that are going on around Holy Family and around St. David's. And I don't think I'm leaving out any other churches. If I am, just you can unmute yourself and say, look, you're forgetting this church that I'm going to, because I don't want to be rude. Say, you know, what are the things that are going on? Is there a harvest time in Miami Gardens? Is there a big community thing or festival in Miami Gardens? Is there what's going on in the outside of the walls and the yard of the things that we've talked about before? Okay, and you want to put those down now in your calendar also. I mean, particularly so that you remind yourself that these are the things that are going on. Because now that you have now the calendar, you have the important church kind of days, you know, Christmas and Easter, etc. You have the school holidays. You have now also what's going on in the community, you know, what's going on in the community. And I know that Holy Family is very involved with like Episcopal Church women, ECW. And you know, if you have people in your congregation that are really involved in Cursillo, you know, you can connect with like ECW and find out when is ECW, you know, the diocesan ECW going to meet at Holy Family, or, you know, when is you know, when is I don't know, anti-racism going to meet at Holy Family? Do you know what I mean? When is the Rotary going to be meeting, and so on and so forth. And so then once you have all of those things listed out, you're going to draw together your group. And it can be a pretty big group. And this meeting is going to take a while, especially the first meeting, because it's going to be creating the foundation of the calendar. It's going to be creating, oh, and I know like St. David's, you have a school. So at St. David's, you probably want to think about and connect with the school on important days that the school, you know, do they have a family day? Do they have a parents' day, a grandparents' day, and so on. So, and you want to note those down in your school calendar or in your church calendar also, so that when your larger group of altar guild, ECW, vestry, whatever special events you have at the church, choir, I don't know, I'm just, you know, I'm not listing everybody because you'll have different things. After school program in our case, We'll get to,
DOK.
beg your pardon,
DOK.
DOK, Daughters of the King. Then you're going to gather together all of those people in a room. Okay, in a room, and they're all going to have their calendars, right? They're all going to have their calendars. And then in a meeting, in time together, this group of very invested people in the further in the future with hope, because these are the people that are invested in the future with hope of your congregation. You're going to kind of work through on a very month by month, week by week level of what is happening in your parish. And so, for example, I forgot DOK, right? And so I didn't mention that when I was going through my list here. I said ECW, but everybody's going to have their important days. Like Daughters of the King, they may have a time when they get together on Tuesday mornings, and they need the chapel or the main sanctuary or part of the parish hall to pray. They may have planned a special day of prayer to try to introduce DOK to new people. They may want to have a time on a Sunday after church to have something to enlarge and expand their ministry by letting people know that DOK is a place of prayer and relationship and building up the body. So that's just an example that can go on the calendar. What days do you need DOK to be able to do the work that you have been given to do? So you're going to see that happens on a kind of a very hour by hour, day by day level. And so then once that calendar is filled out, on top of, I'm saying use one calendar, right? You're just adding to and adding to and adding to, so that it is a very dense story of the journey of your church over the next 12 to 18 months. You're going to see that it forms a foundation for your congregation. And it also, interestingly enough, tells a story of what's important to you. Because you may look at it and say, oh, that's a very empty calendar. Or that's a calendar that is just filled with wonderful, beautiful times of prayer and worship. And every calendar is going to look different. It's going to reflect the nature and personality of your congregation. And I'm going to just pause right here, right now, for any questions that you might have, so that because I do tend to go on. And this is one of my favorite topics. So you can tell me to ask me any question and I'll try to answer.
Is this
Okay.
something that we should aim for starting January? Because we're at this time of year, would be something that you feel would be apropos to start in planning now? And
yeah, I mean, I would say if you don't have a plan for Advent and Christmas, then it's not too late to make like a little Advent Christmas plan. You don't want to let things slip. But yes, January is a good time to start it. That's the starting off plan time. But it's not too late to also plan for, Advent and Christmas. But yes, January 2024, just like jump started prior to the annual meeting, it could be a good thing to start. Or you could use the annual meeting as the kickoff, saying, look, here's the calendar that is partially filled out. What is it? Sometimes you see those billboards where those advertisements on buses and different things. And, it's a kind of a generic advertisement. And it says something like, your name could be here. You know what I mean? Your name could be here. And so by the annual meeting, it would be very good if you had first purchased the calendar, that you had been able to put down all the church stuff. The school stuff is also pretty easy. The community items, the outside communities might be more challenging and more difficult because some research would have to take place, and that can be an ongoing thing. But if you were able to introduce this calendar at the annual meeting, that would be really, really, really great. And then just know that you're going on ahead. And that gives you just such a great foundation for planning. So now let's say you have purchased the calendar. You've started filling in all of the basic stuff, the church holidays, the school stuff, and then some of the community things. And then also you've now been able to introduce some more of the activities, worship programs, formation events, and placing them on the calendar. You see what I'm doing? I'm just totally layering it, one layer after another. Then you can just step back from that calendar and say, what does this calendar say about who we are as the people of God? Because that's what this is. It's a story about who we are as the people of God. And I, for one, am not buying into the idea that the church is going to fail forever. I believe in, and I know you're here because we believe that we are invited, just like the prophet Jeremiah says, we're invited into a future with hope. And so the calendar will help us with that invitation. So now you're going
Reverend
to
Deborah, Horace?
Yeah.
I think Horace has a question.
Oh, I'm sorry, Horace. I used to have such a hard time doing those hand things. Yes, Horace.
Actually, two things. One, a summary of what we've said or heard so far, and you just reflected it. You just reflected the summary, in which that the calendar is a snapshot of who we are, of what is happening and how we're living out mission, or how we're living out our baptismal covenant, and engaging both within the congregation or community of relationships, and relationships in the wider context. And for example, I appreciated what you said to connect with the immediate community, and as well as with further afield, be it with the diocese. When you talked of the diocesan ministries being listed on that calendar, and in which, again, to give hope. At Holy Family, we have continued the use of the calendar, but we've gotten away from the intentional focus that you're affirming and inviting us to return to. And so I appreciate that very, very much. I must celebrate in the group from Holy Family here that we have vestry persons. We have key leaders in our congregation. For example, we have Yvette, who's the vice president of the ECW. And so I see here that the gift benefits to Holy Family, but also beyond Holy Family. I'm just celebrating, Deborah. I'm just celebrating with gratitude for this experience. It also challenges the leadership again to be intentional, to be organized. It challenges the rector of Holy Family to work with to make the future and its possibilities real in real time. So again, it's just a shout out of gratitude and its relevance, its meaningfulness. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Horace. Thank you. Thank you. So once you get sort of all of these ideas down, or events and activities and ways of being together down on paper, you're going to be able to continue now to make some additional assessments of what your life is going to look like for the next 18 months. And so, oh, did I say, write this calendar in pencil in the beginning? Okay, write it in pencil, except for Christmas and, but write it in pencil, because it's at this point where when you take a look at it, when you take a step back, look at it, if you have a very busy calendar, you may say to yourself, are these things that we are still called to do? Are we still called toward this ministry within the walls of our church? Are we still actively engaged in these other activities, or is this just something that is on our calendar? What's the story behind the date? What's the story behind the date? And so each kind of event or activity or program that has a scheduled date needs some reflection. And that's why the group needs time to really meet. And there may be some things that people say, well, let's keep it. Let's see what we can do with whatever we're doing to strengthen it. Let's reflect on where did we go wrong with the activity or the of the formational event, or see if simply the parish has lost the heart for whatever it is. I'll give you an example from St. Columba. So from 2007, which is when I started at St. Columba, and I had only been in the parish for 2 months, just 2 months. I started, and then the church really joined in something called the Bluegrass and Barbecue, which was, St. Columba hadn't done anything for decades. So you can imagine it was a huge deal in our church. Everyone was excited about it. It's a foundational story of my leadership at St. Columba. I mean, no joking around. The Celtic festival came from the Bluegrass and Barbecue Festival. So it's a powerful bluegrass and barbecue event. We had a good relationship with the band, the Dorfel. It was a family band. They were award-winning fiddlers, etc. We had all different kinds of barbecue over the years. We did it outside in our parking lot. There were many funny stories about having too many people for the seats. We would run out of food, and I've been in St. Columba for 17 years. So this barbecue went through, a lot of different iterations from, pork barbecue, beef barbecue, chicken barbecue, those big barbecue pits, different kinds of members of the joyfuls would come in. But it was a big cornerstone event in the life of our church. It had a set date. It was always the last Sunday. Well, not exactly. It was the last Sunday of February, depending upon kind of like leap year, or the first Sunday of March. I mean, for years. I mean, years, more than a decade, almost 2 decades, until we kind of lost. Well, the band moved to Tennessee, and so then we, started bringing in other bands. It didn't have the power and the excitement that it had. I mean, we could still do it. We were a well-oiled machine. We had the people, we had the help, we had the table decorations, we had the grills, we had all of that. But we lost our heart for it. We lost our passion for that event. And so here you have something that was definitely a foundation story to who we are at St. Columba today. And I'm sitting in the bird's eye seat, so I believe I can speak to that with authority. We have something that was foundational to who we are today. And we just decided we're not doing that anymore because it doesn't mean anything to us. It doesn't mean the same. We have no passion for this event, and boop, off it goes. It became something else, but off it goes off of the calendar. Off it goes. I mean, we still have all the table decorations and things, but we use them for other stuff. We use our energy for other things. The bluegrass and barbecue kind of becomes something different every year. It becomes can become a picnic. Last year it became a brunch. That time space became a brunch for our endowment committee. And so we had something called bagpipes and Bloody Marys for our endowment committee after church. It was a brunch in the Iona Society. We had a lot of energy around it. It was really their first time for talking about the society in a long, long time. And it was a fantastic event. We did some kinds of end of life planning. We had fabulous conversations with the people in our parish. The people from the endowment got to get up and talk about what it meant to them. And if we had stayed with our grip on the bluegrass and barbecue, there wouldn't have been time in the calendar. There wouldn't have been time in the calendar to put that event in there, because we would have said, wow, we can't have the Bloody Marys and bagpipes because we've got the bluegrass and barbecue that night. And it would have been impossible, because the other thing the calendar reveals is you don't want to burn out your people. And so, there's key leadership. And a lot of times people in key leadership tend to be hyperactive, and they may be involved in not just one aspect of ministry. They may be involved in many aspects, and we don't want to burn out the people that are serving and supporting and have hope for the church. So a calendar can also reveal the spacing of your events. And it can reveal it can give opportunity for conversation in that meeting. And I will tell you, for that first meeting, I would allocate like 4 hours. I would. It's because you want to give everybody a chance to talk. You want to give everybody a chance, and so you may want to do it in 2-hour increments. You may want to, because I know people have, time is hard to come by these days, but you want to be able to air out everything so that by the time you come out of that meeting, by the time you come out of that planning session, even though it's in pencil, you have a pretty good idea of what your life is going to look like over the next 12 to 18 months. And there's tremendous freedom in that. Tremendous freedom in that. Because now that you have that, you can now then take a look at and interact with the different people involved, the key leadership in your church that are doing the different things in the church, kind of like the who, what, where, when, why, who's doing it, what is it, and what is it going to need, where is it going to be needed in the parish hall? Are you doing it in the parish hall? Is it in the sanctuary? Are you going to need the parking lot? What are the kind of the support features that you're going to need in order to pull off this whatever it is, be it worship, be it formation, be it, the church bazaar, whatever it is, support is always needed. And then you're going to be able to go to the outside groups, the community groups in West Palm and in Miami Gardens, and go, okay, I don't know, we want to be in the homecoming celebration. I'm making this up. We want to be in the homecoming celebration being offered by Miami Gardens, and we'd like to have a booth there. We'd like to, send speakers there, or whatever it is. Who's going to speak? What are they, who's going to speak? Where do they need to be? And what are the supporting materials that we're going to need to have in order to pull this off? Are we going to need posters? Are we going to need business cards? Are we going to need a PowerPoint? Are we going to need a team of people to go, or is it just one person that needs to show up to fly the flag of Holy Family or St. Columba or St. David's? And so you're gonna take and go through. Now, you might not, you don't have to do this in a big giant meeting. You can tell ECW, okay, ECW, we need the who, what, where, when, and why, and so we don't have the sheet so much at St. Columba anymore, but for years, we would actually have a little sheet that went with every event. And that event would say, who's doing it, why we're doing it, what we need, kind of like a little cheat sheet. And we just kept it on a clipboard, and so we kind of knew what was up with whatever the event was, so that things, is it going to cost something? How are we going to get the money for it? Is it a fundraiser? Who's going to sell the tickets for it? How much money do we want to make from it? Those kinds of very incremental questions. If it's going to be a quiet day, how can we make sure that the sanctuary or the parish hall is actually quiet? What are we going to do if there are overlapping activities? And so now you have developed a very sophisticated tool to make an assessment of who you are. And Horace offered this as a snapshot. I would say it is a snapshot, but it's also a video. It's a video because it's a very active, it's a very active piece of paper. And so you may find that from the month 1 to month 12 is really filled out. You kind of know really what's happening, or what's happening. Months 12 to 18 has the school calendar and the holidays and those kinds of things on it, and the basics. But 12 to 18 months, might be a little bit less crowded than than 1 to 12 months. And so now this is where the fun starts. And this is where the opportunities really begin to increase. Because when you have that calendar now all set, and I would say place it in your office, in the office, in a place where people can see it, put it online, have it in handout in the parish hall, etc. So people can actually see what's going on. People have an opportunity to invite their friends and their neighbors and the community into these ideas. And so you think, well, how are we going to invite the people into the ideas? How is that going to happen? Well, that could happen with electronic invitations. It can happen on Facebook. It can happen with flyers. It can happen with brochures. It can happen with honest to goodness invitations. It can happen with people actually practicing, inviting other people to whatever it is, so that not only does your church have the calendar, and the calendar is a good, strong calendar, and kind of shows what is going on, but that people have to have an opportunity to, in the congregation, to live into the hope of that calendar, and then also to invite other people into that hope. And there you go. By doing all of that administrative work, which I think is spiritual work, and in community, you get to that moment. And it's something that we really, really need in this world. We really need to be able to have a way to invite people into hope. And whatever it is that we're doing in the church, I dare say, and I don't think I'm wrong, I dare say that we're doing things in hope, with hope, that we're providing a positive, hopeful, loving environment, acting out our lives together as the hands and feet of Christ. And so if you're inviting people to a car wash, right? I'm going to go to like that level. If you're inviting people to a car wash, you know what? That car is going to be washed with hope and love. When people come up to your car wash that day and they've got a really dirty car, and they're in their car, or they get out of their car, or however you are at the car wash, that might be the only time that day in our car-centric, isolationist society that people actually engage with another human being. That is,
I think Horace has a comment.
oh, you do? Go ahead, Horace. Just jump in anytime, Horace. Unmute yourself and jump in anytime.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I see that we have 4 minutes to end.
Oh my gosh, we only have 4 minutes? Uh-oh.
Which is why I'm jumping in here. That with the consideration that we could have a follow-up / check-in of this group, and even open it up to others here, so that, for example, given Holy Family's presence here, and I'm just using that as an example, to come back with you and say, okay, since October the 21st, this is where we are, just as a check-in, and allow that to be a source of encouragement for us to keep growing and going. Just a thought on possibility.
Well, what I would suggest, I think that's a good idea. What I would suggest is we do it sometime in February, where the calendar has been purchased, the days, the easy days have been filled in, and the initial meeting has come about. You know, the initial, maybe, and we could kind of play around with that, but the calendar has been purchased, and that the easy days are filled in, and then we move to the next level. So yeah, I think February would be a good time to do that, because
And what's happening in February, Shannon?
I mean, really nothing. I mean, we're scheduling our conversations. We've got our dates fixed. I mean, there's going to be a vestry training. I do know that from the diocese.
Yes.
But a Saturday conversation in an hour is you know, pretty easy to, we already have the date scheduled. So we can just make that, you know, 18-month calendar revisited. So
Thank you.
yeah, that can work out
We
great.
have it
Let me-
scheduled in our calendar for the 17th of February.
There you go, February 17th, all set, done, bam. You see what we did? You see that? Did everybody see
Yes.
that? Okay,
Yes.
that is perfect freedom.
However,
we-
I do use the electronic calendar.
Yes, but we always fight about it because I use the paper calendar, but in the paper calendar is the planning. It's the planning. But did you see what happened? Because we've done our conversation calendar, we have the dates reserved, we have some ideas out there. Did you see that perfect freedom? That's what I'm talking about.
Thank you.
Yeah. So that's what I'm talking about. And so I know we're at a closing point, and I just want to just offer this idea. We have a classically, we're gonna go like 5 minutes over. We have a classically trained guitarist in our midst in the city of Marathon. He's a very talented guitarist. He asked, do you think I could have guitar lessons at church? I said, okay, you know, because we have our calendar, we can fit him in. And then we decided we were going to have a concert at St. Columba last Sunday night. It went extremely well. Everyone was so happy. It's beautiful. It was wonderful. It was only 40 minutes of music. It was perfect. We had a potluck supper before. Because we have our calendar, we were able, in the past less than 7 days, in 4 days, we were able to come up with a brand new guitar series at St. Columba called First Sundays at St. Columba. First Sundays at St. Columba, which we have already advertised, have a poster for, and are promoting. At our first concert, our church is small, at our first concert, with not a lot of effort actually, we had 21 people attend. Now you might think that's not that many, but it's a toe in the water approach. Our next concert, I know our church seats about 100 people, 80 people comfortably, about 100 people. I know that building is going to be full. Evangelism,
Yes.
love, hope, beautiful music, engagement with the community, all because of the 18-month calendar.
Yes.
I rest my case. So thank you all.